All right, it is great to be with you. Thank you for all the feedback. Thank you for all of the input that I've been receiving. Really grateful that some of these concepts or ideas are really beginning to make an impact. So today what we're going to do is maybe how I should have started this whole video series or concept. Ultimately, in my defense, I opened up and said, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I'm just going to start sharing with you some of the things I'm finding people experiencing or walking through day in and day out as new executives, as new leaders. So that's my really lame excuse. What I want us to think through today is ultimately an exercise I'm going to make available to you that our firm uses, Shondell Group. We're a leadership development firm. And this really simple exercise essentially helps you get a pulse or a baseline for growth of all the opportunities or all the ways that you can continue to get better. And the notion here of domain dominance is going back to the way that in psychology there's a concept of domain specific, which essentially means you can have an increased efficacy in a particular domain, but maybe not in every single domain. And so as leaders, we want you to crush every single domain. And we're pulling from this baseline exercise is an adaptation to what Zig Ziglar, or at least he's the first person I saw make this a number of years ago, to look at the 8 key domains that really comprise life. So when we talk about domain dominance, it's about you crushing every area of life. And the example I used, if you haven't seen the first video, which admittedly really poor content, crappy camera, mediocre microphone, I talked about you may crush your professional domain and you may suck at your personal domain. What good is that? We want you dominating every single domain that you're in. So today we're going to walk through what this little simple free exercise can help you get a high degree of clarity on dominating each of the domains. And remember, what is clarity? All clarity is direction and focus. And that's really what allows people to get out there and crush it, is they've got direction they need to go and they're focused on it. We have a common denominator between all humans, and that is time. And so if you can encapsulate the energy and direction and focus you have into time, well, then it increases the likelihood of you being able to succeed in each of those areas. So here's what we want to do, or here's what I would encourage you to do. Every single new CEO, every single new executive, every single new leader that we work with, we have them take this baseline exercise. And essentially what you want to do is you want to just break down your life into bite-sized chunks. So first start with family. We all have a family. Whether you were adopted, or whether you are a foster child, or whether you came from a large family or a small family, we all came from somewhere. And so your family very well may be biological, like the majority of people, as well as it very well may be a hodgepodge of really close family, friends, and things of that nature. So for you specifically, I would recommend you start with family. And what you want to do is you want to look at each of these categories through the lens of how satisfied are you and how unsatisfied are you. And I do this exercise on a monthly basis now. I'll make this available. You can actually print off and use the PDF. And actually, maybe I'll start with at the end of this, what you're going to do is you go through each of these areas, and we're going to highlight our level of satisfaction, and then we're going to be able to string it together and see what areas are you crushing it in and what areas are you not, as well as I'll provide the digital version of this. So let's start with family. Let's just say, hey, last couple of years have been pretty intense. So really, I'm not super unsatisfied, but I'm not really satisfied. So I'm going to give myself a 2 out of a scale of 5 with family. Then I'm going to move to friends. Man, that's even less because I've been locked down. Jiu-jitsu gym has not been as open as I would like. I'm not seeing people as much. So I'm going to give myself a 1.5. Work, well, thankfully work is a bright spot. So I'm going to shade this in and give myself a 3. The finances, how are we doing finances? Thankfully, work is going well, so we're going to keep that right as a 3 of we're satisfied. Body, definitely did not hit that 195 goal by end of 2021. So I'm going to give myself a 2.5. I'm just on the cusp. So I'm not as satisfied as maybe I am with my finances, but I'm not too unsatisfied. My mind is feeling sharp. I'm going to give myself a 3 out of 5. The future is bright. And so I'm going to give myself a 4 out of 5. Spiritual, I would say that I've got a daily routine in the morning, call it my silence and solitude, where I'm doing prayer, I'm reading the Holy Scriptures, I'm doing some meditation, some thinking. That has actually been really strong, so I'll give that a 4 as well. And so now what we've done is we've looked at the 8 key areas of life, and it's really helpful to give a snapshot as to what do things look like. Now, here's the thing. It's less about trying to be 5 out of 5 every time, and it's more about how do you have a pulse on it, where things are actually at. And if you imagine, and this is the piece that Zig Ziglar highlighted, if you imagine that this is the tires on your wheel of life or your vehicle of life, I've got kind of a clunky ass ride. Right? So there's some inabilities here. So all this allows me to do is increase the likelihood of how well am I doing in a particular domain, so that I know, you know what, it's time for a whiskey and cigar night with some of my buddies, or it's time to get some family time together, or work. What can I make work go from satisfactory to way over satisfied? And it simply gives us parameters for how to take your direction and focus and funnel it into the right trajectory. So that's what we mean by domain dominance. Trusting this is helpful. Let me know any questions you might have. I'll put links for the PDF that you can use. Certainly would, please take it. It's free. And I'll also link the digital version of this. And then just let me know if you have any questions. We really do want to support you, and ultimately we're pulling for you.